Welcome back to Paris 24 Outreach, 30 short stories in 30 days. My name is Jeff Wells. I have the great privilege of being a part of Beyond the Rings, founder, and having been a part of many previous Olympic outreaches. Paris 2024 was my 11th Olympic outreach, and so it is a great joy to be a part of this ministry. I'm excited to share again today about the Paris 24 Beyond the Rings ground team. This is our third episode that I've done about our team, and today, I want to talk to you about my friend Brandon. And so it was Destiny, Tony, myself, and Brandon. This was the Beyond the Rings ground team that were on the ground during the Paris 2024 Summer Olympic Games, engaging in gospel conversations with people from all over the world using Olympic pin trading. Um, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. Brandon is a part of the church where I'm on staff. I have the privilege of being one of the pastors at Concord Church in South St. Louis County. I'm the missions and online pastor. And Brandon was a teenager when I came there. I was the interim youth pastor when I first came to Concord back in 2021. And so I've known Brandon for a couple of years. He and his family, great, great people. And I remember talking to Brandon about the Olympics a couple of years ago. And um, he was kind of like, oh, okay. Um, tell you a little bit more about Brandon. He is a student at Missouri Baptist University, and he is studying Christian ministries and apologetics. And so he's a sophomore this year, and he's 19. He'll be 20 in a few months. And so he's young, as was Destiny. But Brandon feels God calling him into the ministry. And so it wasn't until, I don't know, several months, maybe 4 months, 5 months at the most, where Brandon and Destiny said, you know what, we think we may want to go and be part of the Paris 24 outreach. Like, that's great, because at that time I didn't have anybody confirmed. And biggest obstacle to that was just housing and that logistic. But God provided, and we had 2 rooms. And so, but Brandon, I'll never forget, because he'd never traveled internationally. He was on about, he was um, unconditional. Um, no, I'm sorry, that's not the right word. One of his conditions was he was going to fly in when I flew out and fly out when I fly out. He wasn't going to um, do any of this by himself. So I told him, I'm like, well, I'm there the whole time. Like, okay, then I guess I'm there the whole time too, as was Destiny. And so Brandon and Destiny were there with me the entire 17 days. And that was a long stretch for anybody. I've done it before, several times. Brandon, on the other hand, had never traveled internationally, and he'd never even been that far away from St. Louis region, or away from his family for that long a period of time. So it was really a big deal to be in Paris during the Olympic Games and to engage in gospel conversations and to be far away from his home and to be far away from his family for this long period of time. And he did great. He was very engaging, very friendly. He had a great sense of understanding people and engaging with them well. Uh, he was he has an incredible memory. So we'd be recapping, talking about somebody, and he'd remember their name. He wouldn't have to look at his notes. He'd remember where we were. He would say things like, "Hey, do you remember that guy we met on the subway 3 days ago when we were headed down?" I'm like, "No, I don't." A lot of things a lot of conversations have happened since then, and it's been 3 days, and I'm old and tired. But Brandon was really good about that, and that was a great tool that the team needed. In addition, Brandon kind of was I tagged him as being our our assistant maestro, or we called him the maestro in training, the mitt, because Tony was only going to be there for 10 days, so somebody needed to know logistically how to get us around, navigate the subway system, and Brandon went to work the last several days with Tony, learning where we were, learning the best routes, learning how to use the apps that Paris 2024 had made available. And he did an excellent job in navigating us around the city and getting us to where we needed to be in a timely fashion, making the best use of the subway system, um, really being alert and aware to limiting us doing any unnecessary walking, because every step you take is energy exerted, and getting us into good places. And he and Destiny, I'll just tease you with this because it's their story to share. But he and Destiny were so effective at sharing the last day that we were at Park the Nations, where all the countries had their host houses where they were promoting tourism for their countries. They were so effective in that area. They were that they got us kicked out of that area because they were drawing such a big crowd and so much. And that was Brandon and Destiny. So it was really neat to see how he and Destiny both grew during their time in Paris. Because at first they were very hesitant, unsure, nervous, as I was the very first time I was in Sydney in 2000. But I was in my 30s. Okay, I was 32 years old before I ever did this kind of thing. Brandon's 19. Okay, um, they had to raise a lot of money. Um, they made a big commitment to be there for a long time. They only had a week when they got back to transition from this great experience to being sophomores in college. And so I'm constantly amazed at what Brandon did um, in that season during Paris 2024. But hands down, no question about it, he was a great ground team member. And again, my hope and prayer, much like with Tony and Destiny, that Brandon will be part of the ground team with Beyond the Rings for many, many more Olympic winter and summer both, as their school schedule will allow, being college students. And so pray for Brandon as he continues his studies at Missouri Baptist University in Christian ministries and apologetics, and as he looks for opportunity to serve and grow as he learns more about what it means to pastor, minister, in church, as well as internationally, like he got to experience with Beyond the Rings. So thank you again for tuning in. As I wrap up, let me just invite you and remind you about the upcoming Paris 24 Outreach Celebration, September 29th at 3 p.m. at Concord Church. We'll be serving desserts and drinks wherein we share stories, pictures, and video along with our pins from our time on the ground in Paris 2024 during the Summer Games. In addition, we'll be taking a love offering as we kick off our Italy 2026 Beyond the Rings outreach um, ministry. And so we would invite you to come and enjoy an afternoon of celebrating Paris and helping us as we launch the next Olympic outreach coming up in Italy 2026. Again, thanks for tuning in today to Beyond the Rings Paris 24 outreach, 30 stories in 30 days. Till next time, God bless.